Hello, everyone. Let's talk Star Trek Discovery. That's right, it's time to talk Star Trek Discovery. So many viewers have asked my opinion, given the fact that I'm a huge Star Trek fan and I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on my channel for Star Trek Online, and I have seen every series of Star Trek, every episode, and every movie. So I have a very big background in this franchise. I'm very invested in it, and I am a huge fan of Star Trek. So yes, I have opinions of Star Trek Discovery. A big question is, have I seen the trailers that have shown? And the answer to that is yes, I have seen the trailers. Even though I have not reacted to them, I have seen them, and I've seen a lot of the leaked screenshots from the set and that sort of thing. If you're interested in me reacting to those trailers, I can do that. I just haven't done that as of yet. But yes, I've seen all that, and I have some information, that I've been watching on YouTube, other videos and so forth. So I kind of know what's going on with the series, what I might be able to expect with the series, and a lot of, basically how troubled the series is, I should say. Let's just start right there, how troubled the series is. It's not just troubled on the front end that we see, it's troubled on the back end. Production, very troubled. And we got that idea from all the delays that this series has had. I think it was supposed to start earlier than it's starting, and it has been delayed. There's been a lot of contention back and forth, in the background on this show. It's not starting from solid footing. So that right there gives us pause, correct? So yeah, that's the first thing there about that. Next, a lot of this input that I'm about to put into this video here and talk about actually comes from another video that I watched on YouTube. So I'm going to shout this guy's name out and his video URL and put a link in the description for you to check it out. I encourage you to watch his video first, because a lot of what I'm about to repeat comes from his video and information I gained from his video. So I want to give all credit, please, to this person. His channel is Midnight's Edge. So Midnight's Edge, go watch his video called Star Trek Discovery to be replaced by Nicholas Meyer's new series, ? That is a new video that he put out on July 29th. And I watched that video, and there is so much good information in that video about Star Trek Discovery that will really enlighten you about the series and the trouble that it's gone through and why it is how it is. That video is just absolutely phenomenal. So please go watch his video. I'm going to give all credit to him for these ideas I'm about to reiterate. I'm basically reiterating his ideas, because his ideas match my ideas. His reasoning and concerns match mine. And so I'm going to use those, but they are definitely his creation, so all credit to him for what I'm about to talk about. The number one first thing, before I get into all that though, is I think we all got a sense that the series was a little odd when, number one, it was called Star Trek Discovery, and we all know the acronym that stands for, STD. So right off the bat, it was ridiculed just for the name alone. That's never a good place to start from. You don't want your show to get ridiculed from day one, and it was because of that. Whoever made that decision was not thinking things through. Number two, we heard it was going to be on CBS All Access and then Netflix for other countries. These are paid services. This is not network TV like we are used to in Star Trek. You would flip on CBS, or you'd flip on UPN, used to be UPN, Paramount, whatever. You would flip on those channels and get it without having to subscribe to a particular paid online service. So it's a different format that they're giving it in. Those two things gave us pause. Then we had all the delays with the show. Production was troubled. So those three things at the very beginning of this show helped to give it some, helped to give us pause as fans as to what to expect out of it, because already it started off from a rocky position. So now I'll go into what Midnight's Edge talked about in his video, but the fact that that this basically was a ploy or a way to help kick off or promote the CBS All Access service. The CBS All Access service needed something to push it forward, and they were using this show. CBS was using this show to do that. So already it's starting from that point. It's starting from a point of not being a show created because people have a passion for Star Trek and want to relate the story and universe of Star Trek to us, but rather being created as a means to promote a service. And for another dubious reason we're going to talk about a little bit later on toward the end of my comments, there's another dubious reason that this show was also created, which gives me pause for the intentions of the people behind the show. I'm talking on Saturday, July 29th, 2017, and there's already talks and rumors about the show not lasting very long, about the actors already having, talked to their managers about finding them a gig after this show is up. I don't know if those rumors are true, but that's out there, so that gives us pause, thinking about this show. The complete lack of non-conformity to any kind of Prime Universe canon in this show, that gives most fans the biggest pause here. This show deviates from canon in a huge way, and whether they admit it to themselves or to the fans or not, this show is pretty much a reboot. It is a new universe. It is not JJ Trek. It is not Prime Universe. It is a different Star Trek. Now, they might not admit that up front, but in name alone, they call it Prime Universe. But what you see in all the production so far is nothing like we know. In fact, they've changed and added to the canon, and it is... I'm going to give you a bit of information here. This is a little bit of a spoiler for the show, but at this point, I don't think you guys are too worried about that. Spock has an adopted sister in this show. That's right. The main character is going to be an adopted sister by Sarek and Spock's mother. That's right. And she was adopted by Sarek or whatever, and so Spock has an adopted sister. That complete lack of conformity to canon makes fans and myself upset. There's no, I don't know what the word is. There's no one cares about the canon. They're willing to change it without our thoughts about that. The Klingons have changed quite a bit in this. You've all probably seen the pictures. They're very, very different looking. They look a lot like the JJ Trek Klingons, and they are apparently more religious in this series. They are just way more religious. They have more traditions. They're apparently from a different house of Klingons who want to unite the Klingon houses. They fly a flying sarcophagus. They have sarcophaguses. They remind me of the Goa'uld from Stargate. They have a sarcophagus, and they do like ritual sacrifices on a sarcophagus, and they sleep in sarcophaguses. What the heck? This is not Egypt. These are Klingons. There's something wrong about all that. There's been a long-standing rule in Star Trek that Gene Roddenberry created, and that's that Starfleet members should not conflict with each other. But in this new series, they will be conflicting with each other, which is going to give it a darker and grittier feel. In fact, a gritty feel much like The Walking Dead. What? That's not Star Trek, is it? I mean, maybe it could be, but if they're just totally abandoning that what we have come to know as Star Trek and just going this complete route. It might could work. I don't know. But here's where the real crux of this show and the problem I have with it lies. And this is, again, thanks to Midnight's Edge and the video that I watched enlightening me on this information. I did not know this before. But basically, they lied to us fans about keeping this show canon and how they would do that. They said that there were people in the writing room that were helping them keep the show canon so that it would follow canon, right? Well, that's not technically true. Those people are there, but they're not there for that. They came in later in the series, after, like, I think episode 6 he mentioned, and they're only there to make sure that they do not repurpose storylines from another Star Trek series, that they don't rehash a storyline that's already been done from one of the series or movies. And that's pretty much it. So they already lied to us about the fact that they're there to help keep canon. That's not what they're there for. So they have no problem breaking from canon in a big way. And we see that by the change in the Klingons. We see that with Spock having an adopted sister. We see that in the production designs, the visuals, everything about it screams that they are making a rebooted Star Trek, whether they're willing to admit it or not. There are big hints of JJ Trek in this from the visuals. You'll see some really bloomed out lighting on the bridge. This is true. This is there. I've seen this in the pictures and other things. There's really bloomed out lighting, which reminds us of JJ Trek's lighting techniques. You see the more advanced technology, the way more advanced things than they had 10 years before Kirk. It looks totally different. Doesn't look anything like Kirk era Star Trek, or actually what's supposed to be the Cage era 10 years before Kirk. Now, there's reasons for this. There's actually a big reason for this, and again, thanks to Midnight's Edge for the information in his video about this. Again, go watch his video. It explains this a lot better than what I'm about to talk about, but basically, there's two organizations you could think of, two companies, two TV studios, however you want to think about it, that own Star Trek rights or certain rights. You've got Paramount with Bad Robot, and then you have CBS Corporation. Both of those, okay? Now, the Prime Universe and all the visuals and assets we know from the Prime Universe are under CBS Corporate. However, guess who's making this? Not CBS. It's Paramount and Bad Robot, who Bad Robot was obviously affiliated with the JJ Trek movies. So this is Paramount, and they're wanting to make a new Star Trek series. Now, they want to make it a little more fantastical. Well, here's the thing. Because of the two different corporations and the way the licensing works, Paramount has its own alternate copyright license that's different from CBS. And in that license, they are not able to use or reuse the original Prime Timeline Universe visuals that we all come to know and love of Star Trek that CBS owns. Paramount can't use those. So the only thing it can do is to make up its own thing, and it has to be, contractually has to be, different from the CBS-owned assets. It has to look different. The visuals have to look different. The costumes have to look different. The ships have to look different. Everything about it can say Star Trek, but it has to look different. And that is exactly what the fans see in this show so far. They see, and I see, that it's general sci-fi with Star Trek slapped on it. They feel that, I feel that. That's what I get out of it, and that's the reason why. Because Paramount, Bad Robot, cannot use the same visuals from CBS Corporate. That's the Prime Timeline post I would say, post-Nemesis, post-Voyager, post-Nemesis Star Trek that we all want. They can't use any of that stuff. So they literally have to create their own looking Star Trek. So it literally is a different Star Trek. It literally is a different universe. It literally is a different timeline. It is not what we know and love. It's very different because it contractually has to be. And thus is born Star Trek Discovery, with its primary goal to, one, help Paramount keep its copyright licensing, and number two, promote CBS All Access. Rather than being a bunch of good guys coming together who are passionate about Star Trek and want to tell a good, honest Star Trek story. So that's why this series was made. It was made to help Paramount keep its copyright license, because they want to keep that Star Trek copyright license alive. And this also allows CBS to promote its All Access channel. And together they've come together and we have a new series. But the series is not based out of the passions that we as fans expect for a Star Trek series. And I'm okay. Let me put it this way, really clear. I'm okay with prequels. A lot of people aren't. I'm okay with prequels if done right. Follow canon, keep the prime timeline, keep the visuals the same. I believe you can strike a balance between the 60s era Star Trek visuals and today's 2010 or 2000, almost 2020, type of visual cinematography. I believe you can combine the two, and there's a fine line there, but you can do it. You can use today's technology and still use the same visuals from the 60s and just make a what I would call a refreshed Star Trek. Not a rebooted, but a refreshed Star Trek. I have seen many renders online of Enterprises, Enterprise A's, original Enterprises, that people have made, fans have made, that look way superior to the JJ Trek Enterprise we got. And it's using modern 3D graphics programs, which they could use in a movie, and they look so much better and still keeps the same lines and still keeps the same theme and visuals of the original Enterprise. And it's basically a refreshed Enterprise. There's ways to keep those visuals similar to what we had before, so that you're not looking like something that's made, 500 years later. It can be done. So prequels can be done right. We just haven't seen it done right yet. I also believe that we can have sequels. I would definitely love a post-Voyager, post-Nemesis Star Trek. But you can't change everything. And I don't know the answer. I think maybe the only answer, I don't know the answer. But I'll tell you what, in that video I did watch, Nicholas Meyer, he may be able to turn this around if they go that direction. So watch this guy's video here. Again, I'm gonna link it in the description. You can watch his video. It goes into what Nicholas Meyer may be able to help us do with Star Trek. This may be Star Trek Discovery may be a very limited thing. It may only be like one season long, and then it's over, and literally we get a whole new Star Trek series. It may be like that. It may not. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, I know you guys wanted my opinion on this series, and I just happened to watch Midnight's Edge video here, and I resonated with it very well. So again, go watch his video, and that pretty much replicates everything that I have to say about this. In fact, I pretty much just did replicate his video. So again, all of that thought process there, I want to give credit to him, because that's where I got that from. But here are my honest opinions about this now, after going over the materials and after learning why things are the way they are. My opinion is, I want my Star Trek back, and this isn't it. This is not the Star Trek I wanted. I think I'm okay with prequels. I'm okay with sequels, but do it right. And this is not done right. This is it's a rebooted series that's not JJ Trek and not Prime Universe. It's completely different. So in my opinion, call it that. Don't make up the fact that it's Prime Universe Star Trek. Tell us how it really is. It's a rebooted Star Trek. Okay, sell it as that. Maybe take off the Star Trek title, just make a general sci-fi show. That might even work better, honestly. If you take off the Star Trek and just make it a general sci-fi show, I bet it could be actually pretty good. But when you attach Star Trek to it, you're attaching a long history, and in my opinion, this does not live up to that history. This does not move it forward. This derails from it quite a bit. It is made with the wrong intentions. It's not made with heart. It's not made for the right intentions. And that has started it off from a rocky place, and it's only come to a more rocky place. And that's what you get. Will I watch the series? Well, most definitely I will watch the pilot. Would I watch it after that? Well, I can tell you this. I'm not paying for CBS All Access. I already pay for cable TV. I don't have Netflix, but I may get Netflix. But I'm not going to get another paid service. I don't want to pay for another service just to watch one show. So no, I'm not getting CBS All Access. We'll see what happens with this series. It's definitely interesting. I just don't want it to bring the name of Star Trek down into the mud. We already had that with JJ Trek, and we don't need it again. Here's the problem. I see people taking the IP, taking the idea of Star Trek, and just running with their own ideas. I mean, there's nothing wrong with people having their own ideas about, a Star Trek and all that kind of stuff, but call it what it is. It's a reboot, it's a new series, it's something different, it's inspired. Call it inspired by Star Trek. Here's a new show we're going to call XYZ, but it's inspired by Star Trek. Something like that. Something that's not Star Trek, but inspired by it. And that would be kind of okay. But people have these crazy wild ideas about Star Trek and are totally changing it from what it was. And it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. You can't, especially if you're going to do a prequel. That's really not going to work. Changing everything. So, yeah, I have my doubts about the show. I have my concerns. If you guys want to see my reactions to the trailers, let me know, and I will do that. That's something that I thought about doing anyway. I could be interested in that because I do want to keep up with the show. I am going to watch the premiere, the pilots. Apparently there's 2 pilots. It's a little confusing, but there's like a pilot 1 and then there's a second pilot. And they're very different from each other, so it's a really kind of weird thing. The whole thing's kind of weird. I don't know where it's headed. I really don't. But that's my thoughts, everybody. That's what I got right now. If I have any more thoughts in the future, I'll post them. But there you go. That's what I think of Star Trek Discovery for right now. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.